Welcome back to the second game in our French Tarrasch series. We're going to get right into this one. Got a Tarrasch French, starts off pretty normally, and black goes into this bishop e7 variation. I've learned that this is a waiting move for black. He's trying to see what setup white is going to do, and then black is going to react accordingly. So white proceeds with one of the most common variations, just bringing the bishop out, and black immediately puts some tension in the center with the c-pawn push. Now, this is a move that's a little new to me. Mostly, I've been pushing my c-pawn here and building this defensive structure. So releasing the pawn tension right away is something that's very interesting. And all these new ideas just keep flowing. Black doesn't take back right away. He decides to put some tension in the center by developing his knight. Now the black d pawn and the black knight are attacking this pawn. So white gets off the d file. If everything gets traded off, he doesn't want to trade queens. He wants to keep some tension. He wants to keep an attack alive, right? We need to keep our queen on the board. So we get some developing moves, and black says, okay, I'm going to trade off your bishop. And white says, okay, if you take my strong attacking bishop, the light square bishop is often very important in the French, then I'm going to hold on to the pawn. Seems like a reasonable trade. And white takes back with the pawn. We build this mini pawn chain in the center, and white maintains his extra pawn, right? His knight is attacking this, and since we've captured away from the c file, we have the potential for a rook to come to the open c file. Black wants to kick our knight away. This I see is very common when we have a knight on the b file or on the g file. The enemy player can often push pawns along that file to kick the knight out. And I really like how white responds to this. Rather than moving the knight away, we are still vacating this c1 square for a rook, and our bishop on g5 is indirectly protecting our pawn on c5, because this bishop is doing the job of breaking the pin of this knight to the queen and defending the pawn. So if the knight goes away, he's still almost x-ray defended a little bit. How do we continue? A4, the knight's kicked away. And yes, so here we see the threat a little bit more. If the bishop was to take right away, we actually have this threat of e5, right? And the knight would be pinned to the queen. So let's get that on the board here. We have something like this. This is very unpleasant for black to deal with. So before we take the pawn right away, we ask the bishop, what are you going to do? Are you going to retreat, or are you going to capture? And white actually takes this. Taking back with the g-pawn would be ridiculous. Black takes here, and we see we've drawn attention away from our pawn, and we still have time to bring the rook here after it's attacked again. But first, we push the bishop away, and white has secured his two pawns into very annoying squares in the black camp. We're taking away a whole bunch of space on the sixth rank, and it's going to be difficult for black to break free. So we bring the rook in, and notice the white player actually reserved this d4 square for his knight. He didn't protect the pawn with his d-pawn right away because we're leaving an outpost for our knight. And we'll see how the game develops. Black seems to overextend a little bit. Now we're doing this weird rook lift thing. Yes, you're attacking the pawn 2 times, but white responds in a really nice way. They often say the best defense is a counterattack. Not only is the white bishop adding defense, the white queen adding defense to the c-pawn, but we're also adding attack to the king side if black ever castles, which, I mean, castling queenside would be ridiculous, right? He's going to castle on the king side, or he's going to leave his king in the center. And we have this synergy. Black has created a hook when he put the question to our bishop, if one day the g-pawn was to advance along with our king's knight supporting this. There's going to be contact of the pawns on the king side. Files will open up. Things, an attack will be rolling. So we both castle. And we'll take a little time just to shore things up. We're not going to attack right away. There's a file to fight over. So white develops two rooks onto the file. Black's going to bring... He does have two rooks on the file, kind of. And black is investing his energy into trying to capture this c-pawn. Notice he's bringing all of his horses away from the king side. This is the perfect opportunity to switch gears. We've done what we need to do on the queen side. We've doubled up. We know that we're in an advantageous position to begin an attack because our queen is so well placed. Really nice move. Knight f1. We're moving away from the queen side, bringing this piece back over to the king side to make the attack more effective. And the pressure has become overwhelming on the c-pawn. We have the bishop, both rooks, and the queen attacking this thing. So white says, okay, I wanted to put my knight here on the d4 square. I'm not going to do that anymore. We're going to protect it with a pawn. This knight is going to participate in the attack now. And notice the effect of this pawn push. Since the pawn is protected by another pawn, it relieves the queen of the duty of protecting this pawn a little bit. Because this pawn is defended by the d-pawn, the queen is free to put more energy into the attack. And now this pawn can't be captured by a piece anymore. We have to attack it with a pawn since it's defended by a pawn. And we're seeing that black's just a little too slow. He's finally, weakened this c-pawn to a point where he's going to capture it, but the attack is raging, right? Look at all of the pieces white has on the king side versus black's pieces that are stuck now on the queen side because of this troublesome pawn, because we're controlling the c-file. And black's is forced to do these gymnastics to untangle himself just to get rid of this annoying c-pawn and try to bring some defenders over. But not going to be in time. We're going to throw the g-pawn down the board. We're going to make contact with this hook on the h-file. We trade a couple pieces off, and look at this nice move. We've created a new file. We've opened up this g-file. We move the king out of the way, and we're going to bring one of the rooks over. Not both. There's going to be some trades over on the c-file. Black has finally managed to untangle a little bit, but now we bring our piece over. And notice we're still controlling this square. The queen and the rook are controlling this entry point to the back rank, and black's not in time to defend. So black takes a pawn, but the game is almost over at this point. We have the knight coming in, and, well, what's this? The superficial answer, right? What if we just take this? This is suicide, because our queen and our rook are going to take over the g and the h file with this discover check. This is going to be checkmate right away. We say, okay, that's no good. What's the other problem? Well, the problem is this bishop is attacked, right? So what if black just says, let's cool this attack down. Let's trade queens. Black actually resigned in this position. This is how the game went. The queen trade is going to happen, but black's just down a piece. We took this bishop. It wasn't protected. So who would want to play this endgame? Is ridiculous, right? We're just up a piece. We still have an attack because our rook is on the open file against the king. This is absolutely lost for black. Nobody would play this. There's one other variation I put in here. well, what if we don't try to trade queens? We just defend our bishop, right? We won't go into the endgame down a piece. Well, we still take it, and the problem is this rook is still exerting so much pressure on the black king. We get the same checkmate. If the knight jumps out of the way, our queen and our rook are going to take over these open files. Our knight taking away this only square on the F file, the king is forced to go to the H file, and this is another quick checkmate. The bishop could block, but this is no good. So that is why in this position, black just resigns. And what a beautiful game. Thank you, everybody who made it this far in the video. Please like and subscribe. It does help me out a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.